Charter Review Commission is now in session. I'll call the roll.
What time is it?
Ward 1. Ward 2. Ward 3.
Here.
Ward 4.
Here.
At large, here. The commission has a quorum. Next on the agenda is citizens to be heard.
No.
Ms. Rutledge?
No. Number 3. Discussion. Number 3.
It doesn't have that.
It's right here. The agenda? Right here.
Or different agenda.
Ah. Oh, then,
I don't know what that is.
neither do I.
We'll get rid of it. Where's
Oh, I have it. Okay. Discussion and possible action regarding rule on public meeting.
Tom, if I can address that issue, I asked for that to be put on the agenda
Okay.
at our last meeting. And after reviewing the rules we set in place initially, I think they're sufficient for this meeting tonight. So I have nothing to add or change with respect to those rules, and we can pass that out.
Can we, where is it?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I'm fine if we're not considering that agenda item.
I'm sorry.
She
If
doesn't.
we're not considering that agenda item, I don't want to waste my time on it. Thank you.
Well, I have that, but also indicated you were going to
Citizens
speak.
heard? Yes, okay. On the agenda item?
Now, we have the ones that are going to be included in the minutes, but I also have one that says you want to speak.
Mr. Chair, I think we're on item number 4, right? Citizens to be heard.
Yeah.
Yes, citizens to be heard. Agenda items to be addressed, citizens to be heard.
Great. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. I'd like to pass out my handout, and you can disregard what was typed, if that's okay. And I'm going to start on the back side. This is the Rockport Voter Bill of Rights that I would like to introduce to you.
Can we get a copy of those? Because 2 of the members did not get a copy.
Okay,
So
I don't have extra
We have no idea
copies.
what y'all are talking about.
I'll be speaking, I'll read all of them. Okay, so this is your opportunity at this meeting to hear from the citizens, to take our input. This is the first time that you've had an opportunity for us to put forth proposals for amendments to the city charter. Your last agenda item or your next to last agenda item gives you an opportunity to make motions on each one of these. I'm going to read for the sake of time. I only have 3 minutes on this agenda item from the back page, starting on number 12 of the Rockport Voter Bill of Rights. The city shall provide, please make amendments to this tonight. The city shall provide financial transparency with the public at all times. At minimum, the city's draft and adopted budgets must include the following contents: a budget message, a consolidated statement of revenues and expenditures for all funds, an analysis of property valuations, an analysis of tax rate, tax levies and tax collections by years for the preceding 2 years, general fund resources and all other fund resources in detail, summary of proposed expenditures by fund and department, including actual expenditures of the last completed year, estimate amounts for the current year, and proposed amounts for the ensuing year. Summary of proposed revenues by fund, including actual revenues of the last completed fiscal year, estimated revenues for the current fiscal year, and proposed revenues for the ensuing budget year. A summary of full-time equivalent positions by department and fund, including title and rate of pay, a revenue and expense statement for all type of bonds, a description of all bonds, issues outstanding, showing the rate of interest, the date of issue, maturity date, call date, if any, and amount authorized, amount issued, and amount outstanding. Schedule of requirements for the principal and interest of each issue of bonds. Number 13, the city manager shall not have the authority to spend more than 5% of the city's budget for emergency purposes without approval from city council. Number 14, the city manager shall not have authority to transfer funds without approval of the city council. Thank you for considering these.
Rockport voters' bills of right. Number one, the city, Freudian slip, shall not issue any debt obligations for capital projects against future ad valorem tax other than general obligation bonds or certificates of obligation. Any tax rate adopted over the voter approval rate must be approved by a majority of voters at a called election. Tax notes cannot be refunded using future ad valorem taxes unless approved by a majority of the voters at a called election. The city shall have the power to grant tax exceptions in accordance with the laws of the state of Texas only if approved by a majority of voters at a general election. The qualified voters of the city, once again, Freudian slip, shall have power to require reconsideration by the council of any adopted ordinance or resolution. The city shall promptly produce all public information electronically and without charge upon request for any member of the public. If the state can do it, the city can do it too. A city shall allow each member of the public who desires to address the body regarding an item on an agenda for an open meeting of the body to address the body regarding the item at the meeting before or during the body's consideration of the item. Your lawyer will tell you this is a direct quote from the Open Meetings Act. You're breaking it right now. An employee of the city that is found to have misrepresented the facts or misled either the city council or a member of the public during an open meeting shall be terminated. This was in effect, nearly all city senior staff would have been fired. The installation and use of any device that reads license plates, uses facial recognition, monitors cell phones and or landlines by any local, state, federal, or international government entity is prohibited within the Rockport city limits. The city shall promptly produce all public information electronically upon request and without charge to any member of public. That's twice, I guess, because we needed to know it. Number 6, that's number 6 twice. Oh, the city shall call an election upon verification of initiative, referendum, or recall petition, not have the option to send it to a court. These are very simple things. We've run up against this. This will give the taxpayers, the voters of Rockport, the right to have a just government, and it'll also protect these guys, because it'll give these guys more information. We hope that you please consider these. If not, there's other avenues that we'll pursue to get these on the charter. Thank you, guys.
Discussing and possible action on approval of Charter Review Commission meeting minutes of December 14th, 2022.
Mr. Chairman, I have something I would like to say before we go any further.
The committee's job is to suggest possible changes to the city charter and protect the citizens and their pocketbooks. The city council can adopt, reject, or amend any of these recommendations. This is required to be done every 5 years. It hasn't been done in 18 years. It's a long time for something to be in effect. And in many places we have updated to the 18-year things, but the city has not presented possible changes for our consideration. They have considered to our consideration. Some have been no change, some have been amended, some have been deleted. We have read and voted on each. We have had to look at complex financial items. I doubt that any of us completely understand all that we voted on. We've updated websites, we've updated some, we've clarified some, we've amended some, and we've deleted some. Overall, my concern is that the city records have not been given to more, the city staff has been given more authority than before, and they're taking these rights away from the city council and the public. It appears that many changes take away important information away from being presented to them. Every council member should be able to track every dollar spent by each department and transfer of funds. Every dollar. Several times, I'm not going to go there. Several times a fellow councilman has asked me if I do not trust the city council to make the right decision. I told him I don't trust anyone. Then I asked this question to everyone in the building. If you think that there is one honest politician in the federal government, to raise your hand. Not a hand went up. So nobody trusts the federal government. So you can't trust everybody. Our local people are much more likely to be trustworthy, but the charter is what gives them parameters to work in. And that's very important. It needs to be updated. They need to know what they can do and what they cannot do. That's about it. That's how I feel, and I wish that we were going through this whole thing again, because we have voted on so many things that I know I didn't understand, and I'm sure many others didn't. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we're on item number 5.
Yes. Discussion and possible action on approval of Charter Review Committee meeting minutes of December 14th, 2022.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no.
No.
Pass on a vote of 3-1. Public hearing. To consider, to consider the Charter Review Commission's draft final report regarding proposed charter amendments of the city. We haven't finished our review. Okay.
I guess
that
that means the public hearing has been open.
The public hearing's open, but I have no.
You don't need to sign up for a public hearing.
1743.
Little military time.
That's what it shows.
Oh,
Just repeated.
you're cheating. I'm not used to that thing. So I have no.
They don't have to sign up for the public hearing.
They can just speak.
Mr. Hutt, certainly, or Ms. Rutledge. I don't care in what order.
Thank you, Commissioners and Chairman. Regarding the public hearing, I want to make sure that all commissioners understand that an agenda item number 7 is your opportunity, the next agenda item, to take the recommendations one at a time from the Rockport Voter Bill of Rights and make motions on those to amend your recommendations to City Council on the city charter regarding each one of these 14 items. They're in here for a reason. They're in here because we've had experiences over the last 2 years, 2.5 years. I became involved in city government when on August the 31st, 2020, the Rockport City Council voted to throw out a citizen's petition 350 people signed a petition against certificates of obligation. They wanted a right to vote on that debt. And on August 31st, 2020, the Rockport City Council passed $14.7 million in tax notes without consent of the voters. They bypassed that petition. Currently, in your city charter, in section 6, and I can't quote it exactly which one, there is an option in here that city council can just ignore initiative, referendum, or recall petitions. That is unheard of. I looked at other city charters, and that is not there. Please adopt the item 6 from the city Rockport Voter Bill of Rights. Protect us from a city council or a city government that will issue debt and then refund that debt a year or 2 years later at higher interest rates, saddling us. Right now we have $55 million in debt. It took me months and months to find out what kind of debt we had, what the bonds were. I had to pay $225 to get a copy of the bond agreements or the bond packages from the city. Every one of these items are there because we have had experiences where we need protection. And this is our Constitution. This is your opportunity to protect us. The charters that I have looked at offer much more detail than what has been proposed by the city of Rockport with all of these deletions. All of planning and zoning is deleted. Almost all of the financial transparency has been deleted. You don't have any idea, as Mr. Webb said, what kind of budget will be adopted. The city of Rockport adopted a one-page budget at the end of the budget cycle, and it was a fund balance. It's 1 page. And the way I read the amendments, the city manager will have the authority, if these are approved, to just transfer money wherever and never come back to city council for that. Please.
So I lived in Romania. Romania was the only country in Eastern Europe to have a bloody revolution. But they were also the only country in Romania not to change government. What they did, they were smart. They looked around and they said, hey, all these other governments are fallen. We need to take action. So they took Ceausescu and they took his wife, Elena, and they executed him. This is what seems to have happened in the Rockport city government. Over the last 2 years, we've found out that the city government has been lying to us about bonds. We've had city managers lie about how the tax rate is calculated. We've had a petition that was submitted and verified by the citizens that was just ignored. So what it seems like now is, instead of having this come to Jesus moment that says like, oh, we need to do things, we need to do things correctly, what it seems like has happened here is that the city has come to you guys, and it seems like the EDC members on the board also have decided what we're going to do is we're going to take the lessons that we learned and we're going to make sure that we cover up and we make sure that these things won't come out again. The not allowing the citizens to speak on agenda items is completely ridiculous. There's never been a problem before. None of these folks in city council or the city staff can ever tell you a problem when we went too long or we had too much time. Because we were able to have access to the budgets, we ended up finding $4-point-something million, and we believe it might even be up into the $6 million. Like I said, the petition, we come to you guys, we were hoping that this would be a time when the city and y'all would come to us and say like, all right, we learned from our mistakes in our past. We want to do better. We want to have a more functional government. But instead, all we have is less citizen participation, which is crazy, because 2 years ago, that's all city council complained about. We don't have enough city participation. We don't have a city participation. So remove city participation from the citizens, which is unheard of. Cover up the budget so we can't see the budget. And if the city or the city council actually does something that the majority or a percentage of the citizens don't want, then the city council now is saying, or the city government is saying now that we can just ignore that petition and you have to go to court. We can't afford it. There was a guy who won a court case against the city, cost him $351,000 in lawyer's fees. Do you think us regular folks can come up with $351,000 to combat the city? Give us protections underneath this contract, please. Thanks.
Possible action on draft final report regarding proposed charter amendments to the city council. Ms. Rhodey? I'm sorry?
I'll move that the final draft that we have proposed be submitted to the city council for their consideration and amendment.
I would like to speak on this.
We have to have a second first.
Yeah. Do we have a second for the motion?
I'll second it. Discussion.
We have,
He's already speaking.
may I speak?
Yes, you may.
Citizens get to speak on this one?
There's a motion on the floor, and there's debate on the council.
I think that we should look at these items more carefully. I really feel like that my job was to protect the citizens and give them their rights, and I don't think that I have done my job well. And I think that we all should look at this again. Some of us think we have to run through this like it's a race. It's not a race, it's something that we need to do right. Therefore, I would prefer that we have more meetings to make sure that we're doing the proper thing.
There's a motion on the floor to submit to the city council the documents and changes and things we've left alone to the city council without further notice. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no.
So,
Motion passes 3-1. My eyes are going bad. Discussion and possible action requiring whether there should be another charter review commission meeting. Based on the last motion, I'm not sure that another meeting is necessary.
I'd still like to speak on it.
Yes, please.
I would like to propose a motion that we do have more meetings and get more input from the citizens and get a better understanding of what we've done. I guarantee that none of us have maybe one of us have understood what the financial parts that we went through mean. Need a second.
Can I speak, George?
Oh, yes, please.
I think,
Motion on the floor, need a second for debate.
I'm sorry.
You need a second to the motion in order to debate it.
Did he make a motion? We have a
Yes.
motion on the floor.
Yes, he did. He did.
Commissioner Webb made a motion for additional meetings.
Okay. I haven't read Robert's Rules of Order lately. I believe we need to take motions in the order that they were.
but until his motion is seconded, you can't open debate, is the point they're making. So I can't speak. So
You've already passed 6, you're on 7.
Wait a minute.
I'm going to go on record again, stand against it.
Hold on.
Mr. Chair, he's made a motion for there to be additional meetings.
There's a motion on the floor. Oh, we did that.
Yes,
Okay.
for additional meetings. Either there's a second to the motion, or if there's none, then it dies for lack of a second.
Right. Okay, a motion on the floor to hold additional meetings and further peruse the charter. All those in favor say aye.
No, you need a second.
There's no second to the motion.
If there's no second, it dies for lack of a second.
That's true. Okay. Motion, okay, that motion's dead.
Did you ask for a second?
I'm sorry?
Did you ask for a second?
I'm being told this, that there was a second. Is there a second to the motion to have additional?
No, sir, there has not been one.
There is not a second, therefore the motion dies lack of second.
Correct.
Agenda number 9.
Move to adjourn.
Do I have a number 9?
It's on the back.
That's the only thing I have left.
I know, just so move to adjourn.
The agenda having been exhausted, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
I'm gonna be consistent, no.
Motion passes.